All right. How about that crowd? Absolutely electric group. Made that really special. It was fun to sit out there and watch two elite quarterbacks battle it out. Obviously we've got a really special one on our sideline. I think that's a Heisman-worthy performance from Bo, and fun to do it in front of fifth largest crowd ever here in Autzen Stadium. So we knew that it was a talented team. We knew that they were dangerous and they had the ability to come back. So I don't know that anybody ever felt relaxed. Disappointed a little bit with our finish because I think we're a much better team than what we showed down the stretch. But we got some good experience for some guys as we got dinged up a little bit. The penalties is something that you guys will want to ask questions about, and we've got to address it for us to be the team that we want to be. We have to become more disciplined. I'm not sure that I agreed with every single one of them, but that being said, it's something that we can certainly fix, and some of those are ones that we can attack. I thought we were physical tonight. I thought that showed up consistently, and we knew we had to eliminate some explosive plays, but we gave them life with a couple of those explosive plays that they hit late. So that being said, we can open it up.
Start on the right here, Zach.
The defensive line really had a big impact getting Caleb out of the pocket and kind of forcing him into some tough positions. How do you assess their play tonight?
Yeah, I thought there was some really great moments. I think we'll go back and look at some of these explosive plays and say how we gave him a little bit more opportunity than he needed. But we have a defensive line that can create havoc. We've got some guys that are talented players. They were going against that. That was a good front. They have a good offensive line, and I thought our guys were able to create some havoc and mess up some of the timing there in the back end because they have some really talented wideouts. So good job. We got to eliminate the explosive plays though.
Second row, second seat, Derek.
Speaking of explosive plays, you guys opened and got on them quick with those two big ones downfield. Obviously, you're going to look for those, but did you see them susceptible back there? And is that part of the reason you were so aggressive so quick?
More so saw what we were capable of, right? It's still about players making plays, right? And a guy made a great catch, broke a tackle, and turned it into a huge play. And I think that's what football really is about. We have to be a great tackling team. We have to be a great team at breaking tackles. And we're going to go back and see some fundamentals that we could have done a lot better tonight. That's what practice is for. So. They did some things that we thought we could take advantage of. I thought our coaches did a good job of attacking that. But there's some finishing pieces that we can certainly clean up.
On the left here, Jared.
Yeah, Dan, which areas of the penalties were you most frustrated with from your team, and which ones did you not necessarily agree with?
I couldn't go through every single one of them right now. And part of it is you need to watch the film before you can have a really great assessment of exactly what happened. At the end of the day, that the amount of penalties we had is too much, and we've talked about it a couple times up here before. We do different things at practice to try to attack it, but we have to make a decision of how good do we really want to be, and it hurts us, and it didn't kill us tonight, but there were some critical ones in there that certainly didn't help.
Back left, Max.
Coach, Jordan Burch arrived here primarily touted as an edge rusher, but he's really excelled against defending the run this year. Can you speak to his development this year just as an overall defensive lineman?
Yeah, week in and week out, I think Jordan's gotten better and better and better. I think the sky's the absolute limit for this guy. He's a really, really talented player. He comes in, he takes great notes. He works really hard to be a good player for his teammates and the people around him. And, he takes advantage of the plays that he gets an opportunity to make. So I know that being said that Jordan's going to see some plays that he wishes he could have made, but he's been really good for us.
Front left, James.
You talked about getting a fast start. You got one. It's always critical, but what does it do for you defensively when you're playing from ahead against a team like this from the very beginning?
Yeah, it's hard when you play a team like USC where they can score quick. So I don't know if you ever feel comfortable, but there is a difference. There is a difference in the game when you're having some success on offense, and we certainly had some success on offense. I don't think we punted in the first half. When you're able to move the ball, and especially move the ball in the run game, I think that really opens up some opportunities for us. I thought defensively we did a good job stopping the run at times for a team that we thought was a really good back. So overall, us being ahead of the chains, it certainly helped. I think we've got to work on having that killer instinct to finish, down the stretch.
All the way in the back, Trevor.
Bucky and JPJ, two guys that were clearly dinged up but came back in at the end, to help you close out that game in the fourth quarter. What did you make of those guys' performances today?
Yeah, tough guys, and this is the time of year where a lot of people are dinged up, but we gotta go attack, the training room and get healthy and put ourselves in a position where we can finish this thing the way we want to.
Back right here.
And two more players that have continued to be productive for you. Both Troy and Tez had pretty great nights. Troy specifically What do you just see from him that makes him just be able to be so consistent and productive, just kind of on a weekly basis? What is it about him that kind of allows him to do that?
You said it, consistency, right? I mean, he's able to make those same plays in practice, and it shows up in the game. He's been, I think it's a trusted target too for Bo. When you talk about having a great quarterback, that means he has great wideouts, and Troy's proven to be a guy that he can take the ball to, and he's going to make plays on the ball.
All the way in the back, Matt.
What do you feel like the difference was in this game for you guys?
I think our team, just really our DNA traits, is something we thought was going to show up in this game, right? And I think they did. There was never any panic. There was never any relax in our guys. When they are able to execute at the level that we're, able to perform at, I think we have a really, really special team. So I think all those things showed up. And, it's not about want to. It's really about who's willing to do more. And I thought our guys were willing to do that little bit extra against a team that's really talented.
Right here, Chris. No, move it up. One up, Chris. Here we go.
Yeah, you mentioned Bo had a Heisman-worthy performance tonight. Was there any moment or anything in particular that really jumped out to you?
No, I mean, I'll have to go back and watch the film. Just his consistency. I mean, not to not punt the ball in the first half, I think speaks to his efficiency, and not all that was him necessarily throwing the ball. It's him again getting us into the right run check, him checking us into proper plays, just being efficient with the ball. So, but I'll have to go back and watch it to see if there's any plays that stuck out in particular.
Back on the right, on the aisle.
Coach, how important were some of those drives late, even if you don't score, to just take a bunch of time off the clock?
Yeah, and I think honestly we can do a better job of that at times. There was some drives that we kind of stalled out and we didn't use as much of the clock as we should have. In situations. So that's something that we'll critique ourselves with on managing that a little bit better. But we knew once we got to 2 minutes and 10 seconds that put us in position to be able to kneel it out, and that's kind of what we were working to do. Wish we could have done a little bit better job of that the series before.
Right next to him.
Talked a lot about this week trying to make them play left-handed. How do you think your team fared at making that happen?
Yeah, I thought we, did a decent job of taking away the run. That being said, they had some big runs in the red area where we can be better. But doing that, then we have to have some answers when anybody able to hit some explosive plays. So they're a good offense. I think they score, around 40 or more a game against each opponent. So that being said, I don't think it had to finish at 27 for us. I think that could have looked different if we would have, handled it a little bit better down the stretch.
Front right.
Rodney Pleasant made a big play, big tackle on that 2-point conversion. What do you think of the way he played, and then also just the way he's developed since coming here?
Well, I'll say this. The guy takes a lot of pride in what he does and everything he does. It means a lot to him, and I love coaching guys that it means a lot to. I have to go back and watch. He had a select snaps, didn't have a ton of snaps, but go back and watch the snaps that he did have. I thought he got it there and got involved. But we'll have to go back and watch that. But I know he cares. I know it's important, and it was good to see him go out there and execute.
Right here, Eric.
Two positive special teams things, the ability to keep Zachariah Branch just kind of out of the game, and then also you guys haven't had to face it this year, but an onside recovery and Jeff being right there.
Yeah, it's something we work every single week, and it doesn't matter until it matters, right? So, every Thursday we do, daily skills with our special teams each day. As well in practice, and that was a situation where it showed up. And then, Zachariah was a guy that we definitely thought could change the game if he had the opportunity. I thought our, talk about a penalty that really hurt us, the penalty after a touchdown, and then having a long kickoff. That's one that's going to go kind of unheralded, throughout the game. But Cam had a huge kick there, and then our coverage unit was able to pin him inside the 15 when we're really kicking off, 15 yards further back. So. Really good job there. Didn't let him get an opportunity in the punt return game, which was big as well, with some good hang time kicks and good coverage. So that was definitely the goal, and that showed up tonight.
Did you have a question? Guy asked. Okay, right up here, Zach on the right.
Caleb Williams, I mean, you prepped for him now, and you played against him. How impressive was he to you actually seeing him, and how do you think you guys did actually?
He's special, man. He's special. He's a really talented guy. Obviously never out of the fight when you have a guy like that, battling for you, and know he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Front left, James.
Any initial word on Kyrie as he was out of pads and Jaleel, and it looked like at one point Dante was also trying to run out of cramp there?
Yeah, I'll have to get with our medical staff. I haven't been able to get with him quite yet.
Back right here.
What do you feel like is motivating this team right now? Do you feel like it's the preparation week to week to know that that's what it's going to have to take to get to your end goal, or what do you feel like is motivating this team week to week to come out and get these big wins, knowing that to reach your end goal you're going to have to win out?
Each other, right? These guys are motivated by each other. They have a purpose, right? And the purpose is in that locker room. It's not about the people outside of that locker room. They're motivated by each other.
All the way in the back, Matt.
You referenced the not having the punt in the first half. How big was that second half opening drive? I think you took.
Yeah, something we talked about at halftime. We felt like we needed to go out there and get a score and then turn around and get a stop. And that certainly created a momentum shift for us and an opportunity to really separate. Make it a larger score margin. So that was important.
Back, Max.
Coach, you talked about how you're not overall satisfied with the win, but at this point in the season, late November, guys are banged up. Win's a win. What's your message to your team after this win?
Well, we're always going to celebrate wins here, especially against wins against teams that we know have great talent, like USC does. They're well coached. They do some things really well. That being said, we're always going to look for opportunities to grow. Right? If you're not growing, something's wrong with you. So I'm excited that our guys went out and performed. Right? But that doesn't mean I'm going to change the standard for where I expect us to perform and what I expect us to do moving forward. So the guys in the locker room know that. We got a mature group. They don't let their highs get too high. They don't let their lows get too low. I think it's pretty clear we have a really good team. Right, but we can be even better. So I'm excited to see where we're headed next.
Dan, on Bo, obviously the completion percentage stands out, but where have you seen him grow the most from when he got here and then also just from last season?
Leadership, self-awareness. There's not a lot of people that a lot of people think they're self-aware, but they're not really self-aware. There's probably not a more self-aware person in the world than Bo Nix. I mean, he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, he can identify his thoughts. He's out there able to lead and communicate with other players on our team, which is really impressive. And obviously, he's playing at a really high level.
You mentioned how, I guess, Roderick kind of filled in with some of those injuries, but how did you just think in general the corners, guys that maybe haven't been leaned on quite as much throughout the year, kind of stepped up in the moment, especially in that second half?
Yeah, I thought we were good at times and we were bad at times. I think we probably got to pitch to them a little bit more and give some relief calls. But it's hard when you play a quarterback that can put the ball in tight windows, right? So if you decide you want to play zone, they have a lot of great answers for zone. If you play man match, well, you got a one-on-one and you got to break up a tackle. And we had guys there in position to finish. We just didn't always finish. I thought we had some tight coverage at times that we got flagged on that I didn't necessarily see as a flag. But overall, it's probably better for me to go back and watch the film to see how we executed. I know this. We got a lot of guys who want to, right? We got to figure out what technique we need to improve on.
Time for two more on the aisle here at the second row, Jared.
That's the first time we've seen Luke punt in a while. Was Ross okay, or was that just a situational thing?
Yeah, it was just we felt like Luke is a good hang time punter, and this was a game where hang time mattered. We talked about it, so we kind of had a plan based on where we were at location wise on the field, hash, what kind of kicks we wanted to use, what kind of formation we were going to use. So it's strategic. We have some games still available for Luke based on red shirt, not red shirt, and Ross has done a phenomenal job. But Luke certainly deserved the opportunity because of what we've done in practice.
Last question, James.
Kind of a two-parter strategically, but the decision at the beginning of the second quarter to go for it on 4th and 1 near midfield, what was the thinking there? Obviously works out, but that drive, and then you mentioned the drive to start the third quarter, were both really prolonged drives in time. Was tempo and milking the clock part of the strategy going into it in general?
Yeah, no, being efficient was probably more of the strategy there. I always feel like we can get 1 yard, and I know that isn't always necessarily the case. But with our bigs up front, we felt good about the play that we had in that situation, and obviously keeping a really talented offense off the field. That's the only way that they can get back in the game is to keep them off the field. So having some long drives, it wasn't necessarily by design. We want to look for opportunities to score quick. But that being said, we can play, two different games. We can be an explosive offense that goes and scores quick, but we can also pound it down your throat and be able to take advantage of you from that front.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Players will be available in the back.